Ryan O'Sullivan wiped hydraulic fluid from his hands with a rag that had seen better decades, while Atmospheric Processor 7 wheezed like an elderly relative with chronic respiratory issues. Nexus Trade Outpost 7 hummed around him, with the constant activity of interspecies commerce that never quite managed to disguise the underlying tension between human and Veridian territories, creating an atmosphere where everyone pretended normalcy while secretly preparing for the worst. The outpost had been constructed from repurposed shipping containers and optimistic engineering that prioritized functionality over comfort, leaving workers to maintain systems that were never quite designed for their current applications. Ryan's maintenance schedule had become a meditation on the gap between manufacturer specifications and actual operational requirements, with emergency repairs becoming so routine they'd stopped being emergencies. 3 months of stalled trade negotiations had created economic uncertainty that affected everyone trying to make a living in the contested border zones. Merchants lost credits while workers lost jobs, creating ripple effects that turned simple commercial transactions into complex political calculations about which species offered better long-term employment prospects. The central marketplace bustled with vendors selling everything from exotic foods to questionable electronics, while traders from dozens of worlds conducted business in the kind of neutral environment that existed only because both governments found it more profitable than warfare. The commercial activity couldn't quite mask the underlying awareness that everyone was one diplomatic incident away from finding new careers in safer sectors. Ryan's engineering background had kept him busy maintaining the delicate balance of life support systems that sustained the outpost despite being assembled from components that weren't quite compatible, but were all they could afford after the war had left both species counting every credit twice. His repair logs documented a fascinating variety of creative solutions to problems that shouldn't have existed with proper planning. During his rare break from wrestling with atmospheric processors that seemed designed by committee, Ryan observed the marketplace dynamics while trying to understand why his supply orders kept getting mysteriously delayed by administrative requirements that served no apparent purpose, except generating additional paperwork for officials who treated equipment maintenance like a bureaucratic inconvenience. The trade negotiations between humans and Veridians had produced impressive documentation and very little actual progress, with both sides arguing about resource allocation, while merchants struggled to maintain profitable relationships that kept the outpost economically viable. The political deadlock created uncertainty that made long-term planning impossible for anyone depending on stable commercial relationships. A group of young Veridian nobles moved through the marketplace with the fluid grace that made their species look like they were performing underwater ballet in low gravity. Their crystalline skin caught the artificial lighting in patterns that seemed almost deliberate, while their elongated ears tracked conversations throughout the bustling commercial area with predatory precision that suggested they were listening to more than casual merchant complaints. Arya Sulthara commanded attention without effort, her presence radiating the confident authority of someone accustomed to having her words carry weight beyond their literal meaning. Her companions displayed the nervous energy of people watching someone they cared about make decisions that could have consequences none of them fully understood, while maintaining the diplomatic composure that prevented their concerns from becoming public spectacle. The outpost served as one of the few remaining neutral spaces where both species could interact without formal diplomatic protocol, making it valuable for legitimate trade and the kind of back-channel negotiations that prevented wars from starting over administrative disputes. The commercial relationships formed here often proved more durable than official treaties signed by governments that changed positions with each election cycle. Ryan had been observing the marketplace while trying to identify why his equipment repairs kept getting complicated by supply delays that seemed designed to extend his work assignments rather than facilitate completion. The pattern suggested systematic sabotage disguised as administrative incompetence, though proving such conspiracy would require access to documentation he definitely didn't have clearance for. Arya approached with her entourage in what appeared to be casual social interaction, but carried undertones of something far more significant than simple cultural exchange. Her expression suggested someone about to make a decision that would surprise everyone, including herself, while her companions seemed to recognize the signs of impending diplomatic incident. Without warning or apparent consideration for the consequences, she turned to her friends and declared with ceremonial precision that transformed casual conversation into cosmic significance. "This is my husband." Then she offered Ryan a smile that suggested she knew exactly what she just set in motion, while his tablet erupted in notification cascades that indicated the universe had developed a sense of dramatic timing that prioritized maximum confusion over administrative convenience. The marketplace continued its bustling commercial activity around them, while Ryan realized that being randomly declared someone's husband might be the most politically significant equipment maintenance break in recorded history. "I beg your pardon," Ryan managed, his engineering training failing to provide protocols for being spontaneously married by alien nobility during routine marketplace observation. The outpost's legal systems, installed by Veridian technicians who believed in the binding power of public declarations made in good faith, erupted in digital celebration as ancient recognition rights activated with enthusiasm that seemed wildly inappropriate for accidental interspecies marriage through casual conversation. "The recognition has been properly witnessed," Arya explained with satisfaction that couldn't quite mask the underlying calculation in her expression. "Under Veridian noble law, public declaration of marital status creates formal bonding that grants shared authority and legal standing." Ryan's security clearance expanded instantly to include trade regulation databases that had been mysteriously delayed for weeks, while Arya gained access to human engineering networks revealing systematic manipulation of infrastructure maintenance schedules. Through their suddenly established connection, information began flowing like water equalizing between pressurized containers. "Your supply delays," she observed as data streamed across their shared awareness, "aren't due to administrative incompetence. Station Director Walsh has been coordinating with our Trade Minister Vorthek to maintain what they call sustainable instability protocols for maximum emergency service profitability." Financial records painted a picture of systematic exploitation that treated equipment failures as renewable resources for emergency repair contracts. Infrastructure problems were deliberately created through delayed maintenance, while supply chains were complicated by unnecessary regulations that served no purpose except generating additional revenue for facilitation services. Through their bond, Ryan experienced Veridian political hierarchies that made human bureaucracy seem refreshingly straightforward, while Arya discovered that human engineering thinking operated through practical problem-solving, approaches that her noble education had never considered relevant to economic policy. Director Walsh's Emergency Logistics Corporation, Ryan realized through their shared investigation, has been coordinating with Veridian reconstruction companies to create artificial crisis cycles. Equipment failures generate repair contracts, while supply disruptions justify emergency intervention fees. The recognition right created mental intimacy that made sharing thoughts feel as natural as breathing, though Ryan's human tendency toward direct problem-solving seemed to disrupt Veridian meditation patterns in ways that his practical background found both amusing and culturally enlightening. Evidence accumulated revealing that trade disruptions had been carefully orchestrated to maximize profits for emergency service providers. Commercial transactions had been deliberately complicated by documentation requirements that served no purpose except creating delays that justified expensive facilitation contracts. While infrastructure maintenance had been postponed to generate crisis situations requiring premium pricing. Minister Vorthek's infrastructure company, Arya explained through their connection, operates on renewable failure principles. His contracts depend on continued system breakdowns because completed repairs would eliminate ongoing revenue streams and reduce demand for emergency services. Arya's companions had progressed through surprise and excitement into what appeared to be nervous celebration mixed with terror about the political implications of their friend's impulsive decision. Their reactions suggested they understood consequences that Ryan was only beginning to comprehend through their shared awareness. Recognition bonding, one of them explained helpfully, grants noble authority to both parties while creating legal obligations that extend beyond simple marriage. Your maintenance access combined with her political standing creates unprecedented oversight capabilities that certain officials might find inconvenient. Through Arya's noble privileges, Ryan discovered that trade negotiations had been systematically sabotaged whenever progress threatened to eliminate justification for emergency services. Communication delays had been deliberately introduced to prevent verification of agreements, while quality control procedures had been implemented in ways that created problems rather than preventing them. The outpost's commercial activity continued around them with mechanical precision that couldn't quite mask underlying surveillance from multiple interested parties. Both human security personnel and Veridian honor guards had begun subtle repositioning that suggested preparation for operations they hoped to complete before their investigation could threaten profitable status quo arrangements. The recognition protection, Arya explained quietly, creates legal immunity that prevents direct action against us while we investigate. Ancient Veridian law recognizes noble bonding as creating sacred obligation to complete whatever process initiated the declaration. Their shared awareness revealed suspicious coordination between human emergency contractors and Veridian logistics companies, all carefully structured to benefit from continued commercial instability. Trade problems weren't random market failures, but calculated profit optimization, with both species' economic welfare measured in quarterly revenue reports rather than sustainable prosperity. Ryan's achievement notifications had progressed to Level 1, accidentally married to alien nobility, with helpful cultural notes about Veridian bonding customs that included public validation ceremonies and formal integration into noble lineage systems that made human marriage seem like casual paperwork by comparison. External surveillance increased as their investigation attracted attention from conspiracy beneficiaries, who seemed remarkably well-informed about their activities, despite the outpost's supposedly neutral status. Both human and Veridian forces began positioning themselves with movements that suggested coordinated planning between supposed economic competitors. The trade deadline, Arya noted with growing urgency, approaches rapidly. If negotiations collapse, our shared authority ends and evidence disappears, along with anyone inconvenient enough to have discovered that commercial failures were actually coordinated sabotage. The weight of cosmic decision settled around them like gravity remembering its responsibilities, while thousands of merchants and workers waited for trade relationships that might never stabilize if profitable chaos remained more lucrative than genuine commerce. The Veridian recognition, rights integration protocol, transformed Ryan and Arya's mental connection into something resembling a two-person economic intelligence agency, complete with shared consciousness that made processing trade data feel like collaborative detective work between species who'd approached commerce from completely different philosophical frameworks. Their combined awareness flowed like synchronized analysis, allowing them to examine conspiracy evidence with human engineering precision and Veridian noble insight. Minister Vorthek's infrastructure contracts, Arya observed through their link, demonstrate remarkable creativity in failure management. I'm reviewing maintenance schedules that claim efficiency improvements while actually documenting delayed repairs, designed to create emergency situations, requiring premium intervention services. Ryan felt their awareness merging in ways that made distinguishing between his thoughts and hers an increasingly academic exercise. The evidence revealed systematic coordination that extended far beyond simple profiteering. Trade routes had been deliberately complicated by unnecessary regulations. Infrastructure maintenance had been postponed to create crisis situations. Through Arya's noble access, Ryan discovered hidden communication networks revealing that trade negotiations had been sabotaged whenever progress threatened to eliminate justification for emergency interventions. The commercial crisis wasn't accidental market failure, but carefully maintained business opportunity, with both species' economic welfare sacrificed for contractor profits. Director Walsh's emergency logistics protocols, Ryan realized through their shared investigation, operate on manufactured scarcity principles. His company creates supply problems through delayed deliveries, then charges premium rates for emergency solutions to crises they deliberately caused. The danger escalated as their investigation attracted attention from multiple conspiracy beneficiaries. Human security forces had begun subtle repositioning around commercial areas, while Veridian honor guards moved with careful precision that suggested preparation for operations designed to eliminate inconvenient witnesses before trade deadline eliminated their protective authority. Their cultural exchange continued as they navigated the intimate requirements of shared noble consciousness during conspiracy investigation. Ryan discovered that Veridian problem-solving involved hierarchical analysis that his human impatience seemed to disrupt, while Arya learned that human engineering approaches operated through systematic testing that identified problems her political training would classify as separate administrative issues. Your thought patterns, she noted with scientific fascination, create solution pathways that ignore traditional authority structures but somehow reach effective conclusions. The cognitive approach suggests your species developed intelligence through direct interaction with physical systems rather than theoretical policy frameworks. Through their bond, Ryan experienced Veridian political processing that made human bureaucracy seem like crude approximations of more sophisticated governmental instruments. Arya discovered that human practical thinking operated through pattern recognition that identified systematic failures. Her noble education would approach through diplomatic channels that somehow never quite resolved underlying problems. The conspiracy evidence revealed coordination that reached beyond simple profit motive into deliberate economic manipulation, designed to maintain what Walsh and Vorthek called sustainable instability management. Trade protocols had been designed to fail just enough to justify ongoing intervention contracts, while success rates remained high enough to prevent complete system replacement that would eliminate revenue streams. The artificial complications, Arya explained through their connection, weren't accidental administrative failures. Commercial regulations were coordinated to create bottlenecks that increased processing time while generating revenue for facilitation services, emergency logistics support, and extended documentation verification contracts. External surveillance increased as both human and Veridian forces prepared for trade deadline operations. Through their shared awareness, they tracked movement patterns that suggested coordinated planning between supposed economic competitors, proving the conspiracy reached operational levels of both commercial security services. The outpost's trade activity proceeded around them with mechanical efficiency that couldn't quite mask systematic sabotage designed to maintain profitable inefficiency. Commercial processing had been complicated unnecessarily. Quality control requirements had been multiplied beyond practical necessity, and transportation coordination had been implemented in ways that created delays, rather than facilitating efficient exchange of goods and services. The recognition protection, Arya explained quietly, creates noble immunity that prevents direct action against us while we investigate. But trade deadline will terminate our shared authority, making us vulnerable to elimination while destroying evidence of systematic exploitation that has affected thousands of merchants across multiple trading systems. Ryan's achievement system had reached Level 3, inadvertent economic revolutionary, while offering helpful suggestions about Viridian validation ceremonies that apparently involved public testimony and something called lineage integration broadcasting that sounded either deeply significant or like expensive aristocratic communications equipment. Through their investigation, they'd uncovered evidence that commercial relationships between their species had been deliberately destabilized to generate ongoing revenue for emergency service providers, while sustainable trade solutions had been blocked through regulatory requirements that served no purpose except maintaining profitable instability. I should mention, Ryan admitted through their connection, that accidental marriage to alien nobility during equipment maintenance wasn't covered in engineering training. My preparation focused more on keeping systems functional and troubleshooting technical problems, not on exposing interstellar economic conspiracies through spontaneous recognition bonding. Her mental laughter rippled through their shared consciousness like warm music. Viridian noble education includes extensive coverage of recognition rite traditions, but mostly as ceremonial procedures for planned political alliances. No one expected them to activate through genuine human surprise, expressed during commercial crisis. The trade deadline announcement echoed through corridors packed with merchants waiting for agreements that would determine their economic futures, while Ryan and Arya faced the choice that would determine whether their accidental marriage could expose corruption that had turned interspecies commerce into systematic exploitation, or whether profitable chaos would continue while honest traders remained trapped in artificial instability. The final trade deadline announcement echoed through Nexus Trade Outpost 7 with the weight of economic destiny, painting the commercial areas in emergency lighting that Ryan's exhausted consciousness could only describe as the official color of systematic market manipulation reaching its moment of truth. His caffeine withdrawal had achieved philosophical dimensions, manifesting as what felt like his neurons conducting a symposium about the cosmic significance of accidentally becoming alien nobility through spontaneous marriage declarations during routine maintenance breaks. Your species' stimulant dependencies, Arya observed through their bond, her mental voice carrying what had become familiar affection mixed with aristocratic curiosity, create fascinating cognitive resonance patterns. I'm experiencing sympathetic cravings for something you call emergency repair stimulant, which sounds either deeply practical or mildly concerning for long-term health. The morning ceremony convened in the outpost's Central Assembly area, where representatives from both governments gathered with expressions suggesting they were witnessing either revolutionary economic breakthrough or spectacular interspecies commercial disaster. Ryan's tablet had evolved beyond simple device into what could only be described as a digital consciousness, dedicated to exposing trade corruption with the enthusiasm of artificial intelligence that had discovered economic justice. Director Walsh rose with theatrical precision that suggested considerable preparation for this exact confrontation. Esteemed colleagues, we must address the concerning situation involving Engineer O'Sullivan, who appears to have fallen victim to sophisticated Viridian manipulation techniques disguised as traditional recognition ceremonies. Alternatively, Arya interjected with noble ruthlessness that made aristocratic destruction look like performance art. We address systematic conspiracy between human emergency contractors and Viridian infrastructure officials to maintain profitable commercial instability through coordinated trade sabotage and deliberate economic obstruction. The evidence cascaded across the Assembly's display systems like digital economic revelation, overwhelming damage control efforts with sheer volume of undeniable proof. Financial records revealed Walsh's logistics company receiving payments coordinated with Vortex Infrastructure Corporation, all carefully timed around trade delays that maximized emergency service contracts while preventing sustainable commercial relationships that would eliminate ongoing revenue streams. The supply disruptions, Ryan explained to the increasingly pale-faced assembly, were artificially maintained through coordinated delivery complications and processing delays. Commercial transactions weren't slowed by regulatory requirements, but by profit optimization algorithms designed to extend emergency service contracts, while preventing efficient trade that would reduce dependency on expensive facilitation services. Communication logs showed suspicious coordination between supposed economic competitors, revealing that trade protocols had been deliberately designed to fail at precisely the rate that justified ongoing intervention contracts without triggering complete system replacement. Infrastructure documentation proved that artificial problems had been created through systematic maintenance delays, generating crisis situations that required expensive emergency repairs instead of sustainable commercial systems. Minister Vortex supporters launched their prepared counterattack, claiming human emotional manipulation had compromised Arya through species-specific psychological warfare techniques designed to exploit Viridian recognition traditions for economic advantage. Their arguments evaporated like morning mist when evidence revealed Vortex's personal financial stakes in continued commercial instability, with infrastructure contracts that somehow never quite completed their improvement projects, requiring endless additional funding cycles that coincidentally aligned with trade disruptions. The assassination attempt unfolded exactly as their shared awareness had predicted, with explosives targeting commercial areas, while both human extremists and Viridian separatists blamed each other for coordinated attacks designed to restart economic hostilities and justify abandoning trade negotiations entirely. Ryan and Arya's mental connection allowed them to anticipate and expose the false flag operation in real time, broadcasting intercepted communications that proved both attacks originated from the same conspiracy designed to eliminate neutral trading zones. Distinguished delegates, Arya announced with crystalline authority that made the assembly area feel like the economic center of the universe. I invoke the right of noble validation under recognition right law. The evidence we present will be broadcast simultaneously to all government databases, merchant advocacy networks, and public information systems across both civilizations. The moment of cosmic choice arrived with gravitational weight that seemed to bend space around their decision. Arya could defend her declaration as legitimate truth, permanently binding their lives together while exposing the conspiracy that had caused immeasurable economic suffering. Or she could dismiss her words as youthful impulse while allowing systematic exploitation to continue indefinitely, condemning both species to ongoing commercial manipulation disguised as market forces. Ryan O'Sullivan, she said, her voice carrying across the assembly with absolute certainty, your dedication to maintaining systems that serve others represents the finest qualities of honest labor. I choose to honor that integrity with permanent commitment to truth and economic justice. I accept the validation, Ryan replied, understanding that being randomly declared someone's husband had transformed him from a maintenance worker trying to keep systems functional into someone willing to challenge the institutional corruption that deliberately broke those systems for profit. Let the evidence reach everyone who needs to see it. The quantum broadcast engaged with harmonic resonance that felt like the universe taking a collective sigh of economic relief. Their compiled evidence streamed simultaneously to every accessible database, overwhelming conspiracy damage control with the volume of undeniable documentation. The systematic exploitation died in real time, as truth spread faster than any commercial spin could contain. Trade routes opened within hours as artificial barriers dissolved under public scrutiny. Commercial agreements were finalized as processing delays evaporated once their profit motive disappeared. Supply chains that had been mysteriously complicated for months suddenly discovered efficient delivery schedules when emergency pricing structures collapsed under transparency requirements. Ryan's achievement system reached mission complete, accidentally revolutionized interstellar commerce, while offering congratulations on most economically significant marriage declaration in recorded history. The universe's sense of economic justice, he realized, sometimes operated through the most unexpected mechanisms. 6 months later, Ryan and Arya oversaw the opening of the first permanent trade consortium between human and Viridian merchants, their accidental marriage having become the foundation for new commercial protocols that prioritized trading efficiency over contractor revenue. The exhausted engineer who'd been randomly declared someone's husband had been replaced by someone willing to challenge institutional economic manipulation, while their partnership proved that sometimes the most unexpected declarations, made with sincere intention during moments of crisis, can reshape the commercial landscape of entire civilizations. "Your emergency repair stimulant," Arya observed, watching him prepare their morning ritual, "still tastes like liquid determination with delusions of palatability." "But it's our liquid determination," Ryan replied, feeling her mental laughter ripple through their permanent bond like starlight reflecting off crystalline skin. The cosmos, it seemed, rewarded sincere maintenance work in the most unexpected ways.